of you went online earlier today, or at least you made a sneak peek at their phones or any notification on Facebook or Instagram. Thing is, social media has become so deeply integrated into our lives that we ourselves are not aware of it. In fact, we are able to easily associate Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Tumblr, etc. without the term social media, without even defining what social media is. So basically, what is social media? As you can see here, we have a set of various logos. I'm quite confident that you are familiar with at least two of these logos, especially you. This shows how deeply embedded in our society's culture social media actually is. Today we'll be coming up with a definition of the term social media and thus have a deeper understanding of the term and its theoretical and practical implications. First and foremost, why are we doing this? Why is it essential to come up with a formal definition of the term social media? In the first place, apparently the same ideas are conjured when the word social media is mentioned. People think of social networking sites, blogs, virtual games, and worlds and other online interactive communities. So why is there a need to bother coming up with a definition of the term? There's a need to formulate a formal definition of social media in order to first of all set boundaries for the theoretical scope inclusive with the term, to ensure that the meaning associated with the term is not confused with closely related concepts such as Web 2.0 and user-generated content. Second, by developing an understanding of what the concept embodies, we will be able to proceed to examine and assess the implications of the concept. From there, we would know how it works, our part in its operation, its effects on us, and what we can do to maximize its benefits and minimize its negative effects. In this speech, we'll be developing an understanding of the term social media by means of definitions. The methods of definition that we use are definition by negation, definition by operation, and definition by example. The three main points to be discussed in this speech are: first, the social media provides a new means for communication and interaction. Second, that social media is different from Web 2.0 and user-generated content. And lastly, there is a means of a classification of social media. Applications according to social presence, media richness, self-presentation, and self-disclosure. Now that you have an overview of what we'll be talking about today, let us proceed with the first point. How does social media provide a new means for communication and interaction? The findings of Forrester research revealed the majority of the internet use began using social media during the second quarter of 2008. At the time, 75% of internet surfers started creating accounts for social networking sites, reading blogs, or posting reviews to websites. It didn't take long for social media to become a background-breaking trend. It led to individuals from all over the world to come together and create online communities where they could gather, communicate, share, and in some cases collaborate and play. In fact, just looking at the two words coined together to form the term social and media, we get the hint that the platforms classified under the terms are user-centered and facilitate communal activities. Thus, in terms of operation, we can define social media as a tool used to facilitate human networks or webs of people that promote connectedness as a social value. Given that this is how social media operates, then what exactly sets it apart from Web 2.0 and user-generated content? Web 2.0 and user-generated content closely related to social media, which have gained popularity around the same time, is the term social media and the growing body of research on media effects. The three terms are often used together, or at least any two of the three terms are found together. Media research has affirmed that there still remains some confusion as to what is considered social media, Web 2.0, and user-generated content. At this point, in order to come up with a definition of social media by means of the other two concepts, we will be using definition by negation or coming up with a definition of social media based on what it is not, which in this case is what Web 2.0 and user-generated content are. Web 2.0 is defined as the platform for the evolution of social media, according to the 2006 study of Hogue, Martino, Meckel, and Salpeva. The overview of business models for Web 2.0 communities is used to emphasize the differences between emerging and online communities and former online communities. In terms of technology, attitude, and philosophy, on the other hand, user-generated content refers to the sum of all ways social media can be used in their study, exploring consumer motivations for creating user-generated content. Daughtry, Easton, and Bright define user-generated content as media content, which are created and produced by the general public, not paid professionals, and distributed on the internet. Thus, given these definitions, we come up with a definition of social media through negation, which is a group of internet-based applications that build on the ideological and technological foundations of Web 2.0, and that allow the creation and exchange of user-generated content. In order to understand the difference between the three concepts even more, let us see how these three concepts are used in relation to a social networking site. I'm pretty sure most of us, if not all, are very familiar with Facebook. Facebook itself is an example of social media. Since Web 2.0 refers to the evolution of designs of software from being static to more dynamic and collaborative, then we can say that Facebook is an application of Web 2.0 advancements as compared to former applications such as personal blogs, which contain static information or information that are merely posted but to which people cannot directly respond to in the site itself. Lastly, user-generated content in Facebook consists of the posts, comments, and notes. Facebook users compose and publish. Now that we have established what social media is apart from Web 2.0 and user-generated content, let us explore further on social media itself and the various applications classified under it. Even after defining social media by operation and by negation, it still remains a broad concept in order to narrow down our ideas of social media. It is essential to come up with a means of classifying the various applications categorized under the term social media. A system of classification was developed by Kaplan and Henlin in their study of the challenges and opportunities of social media, which took into consideration the media research theories of social presence and media richness, and the social processes of self-presentation and self-disclosure. Let us first define these concepts. Social presence refers to acoustic, visual, and physical contact that can be achieved, which is influenced by intimacy and may be either interpersonal or mediated immediacy, which may be astronous or strinus. Media richness refers to the amount of information media allowed to be transmitted in a given interval. Social presentation refers to the desire of people in any given social interaction to control the impressions of other people, form them. Lastly, self-disclosure is a critical step in the development of close relationships, but can also occur between complete strangers following this classification scheme. We now can differentiate among various social media applications in terms of their degrees of social presence, media richness, and self-presentation. Self-disclosure, as you can see in this table cue, Visual Aid 3, for instance, we can now point out the blogs of social media applications with low present media richness and high self-presentation self-disclosure, which sets them apart from social networking sites. Which a medium social presence, media richness, and high self-presentation and self-disclosure. Thus, this system of classification of various social media applications gives us a deeper understanding of the nature of social media by means of its various platforms and the aspects of social media that shape the nature, functions, and impact of these platforms. So let us go over what transpired in this discussion. This speech aimed to provide a deeper understanding to the concept of social media, using definition as the main technique for informing. The three methods of defining a concept used in this speech were definition by negation, definition by operation, and definition by example. Throughout the speech, three main points were discussed. First, that social media provides new means for communication and interaction. Second, that social media is different from Web 2.0 and user-generated content. And third, that there is a means of classification of social media. Applications according to social presence, media richness, and self-presentation, self-disclosure. Now that we have an understanding of the nature of social media, we now appreciate its prominence in our day-to-day lives. The acknowledgement of its prominence in our daily activities makes us understand the huge impact it has on various aspects of our lives, a few of which are the way we identify ourselves and build and sustain relationships. At this point, we must be more cautious with the way we engage with social media and take opportunity to learn more about its effects on the various aspects of our lives in order for us to effectively regulate the degree at which we expose ourselves to its various platforms and the extent to which we involve ourselves in it. Social media is a concept that has serious implications on our lives. It is therefore important that we understand what we are dealing with each time we engage in it in order for us to maximize its benefits and minimize its negative effects on us. Thank you.